All right. Excuse me. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Downtown Brantford Business Improvement Area Board of Management meeting, April 14th, 2021. We'll start with the roll call. Annette?
Yes. Barbara Sutherland.
Here.
Karen Towler.
Here.
Anne Marie Boak.
Here.
Councillor Wall.
Present.
Dwight Rose.
Here.
Kathy Oden.
Hi, everyone, here.
And Carrie Korfman.
Here.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item number 2, approval of the agenda. And we would like to change the agenda just a bit and move Sergeant Chris Grantham up to 6.0 under items for consideration and discussion. Yeah, I have, may I have a vote on that? Thank you. Everyone in favor? Thank you. Okay, carried. Thank you. And any declarations of conflict of interest? Okay, I'm hearing. Okay. I'm hearing some background noise from someone. So if you're not speaking, if you could put your mute button on. There, that's good. It's gone. All right. Sorry, declarations of interest, any? Didn't see any. No. We have no delegations. Consent items, 5.1, that the minutes be approved from the February 10th meeting. May I have a motion for the minutes? Dwight, thank you. Seconder. Anne Marie, may I have a vote? Or I'm sorry, discussion? Any discussion? None. And call the vote. All in favor? All right, carried. Thank you. And I'm sorry, and the report from the executive director's report 5.2. I'm sorry, that should have been rolled into that. May I have a show of hands for accepting the executive director's report? Okay, thank you, carried. Sorry. All right, moving right along to item 6 and Sergeant Chris Grantham. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys moving me a little bit early because, as I said, we did have a homicide last night. Very early stages, I can't give too much information, but we're pretty much as soon as I finish here, I'm going to have to head out and help with canvas and possible ground search as well with the team. So just to give you guys a little bit of a recap of what's been going on with Beats. John Malone is still continuing to assist our street crime unit. He has been liaising with them quite a bit. He did send out some letters of intent to landlords and some of the shops that are not properly licensed. And you may have noticed that the grass station has been closed down for a little bit of time now. So that's as a result of his hard work, and he's continuing to push with that. And it's not really in the Beat mandate, but he's kind of taken it under his wing as part of the AGCO liaison to assist with that. So that's kind of going through the city, but again, that's John that's doing that. Some other things that have happened in March and just up until the meeting. March 9th, we had Beat and our emergency response team, as well as plainclothes units, assisted with Project Weaver with the OPP. So there was 15 tactical entries, 6 of which were in the Brantford city limits and surrounding areas, so a lot of players in Brantford. This investigation led to millions of dollars in kilo levels of cocaine being seized, large amounts of Canadian currency. You guys probably are already aware that there were some illegal marijuana dispensaries that were involved in this. More importantly, a huge amount of firearms, rifles, they had suppressors, which are silencers. Had cases of grenades, that were seized. I don't know why they need grenades, but we got those as well. And also some launchers that had explosive rounds. So it's kind of beyond what we would normally deal with just firearms, but even the firearms that we seized are very quality firearms, not like some of the sorry things that you see in the media releases where they have tape all over them and stuff like that. So very high end. John Balone is continuing with his emergency operations. So he's been assigned primarily to that at this point, especially with the new provincial lockdown. He is spending a lot of time on our protests that have been cropping up and assisting with that, unfortunately, which takes away more from my normal duties. The last big protest we had was on April 3rd, approximately 1,500 to 2,000 people. And at the conclusion of that, our inspector in charge wanted to target some of the organizers of that event. So there were a number of charges laid under the Reopening Ontario Act. So obviously, as you know, and I've had discussions with this with Annette and some of the other business owners, there's a fine line between charter rights, of freedom of expression and, being allowed to protest peacefully and things like that, and then the greater good of everyone. So that translates as well into these anti-maskers that are coming into the businesses and causing issues, not wanting to wear a mask. So obviously, I think, Annette, you've already sent something out to everyone on that, I believe. So any questions or issues, please reach out to me. But you're well within your rights as owners to refuse service to someone that is not wearing a mask when it's a health issue and it's for the safety and well-being of your other customers and your employees. So definitely there's no issues with that. I know that they like to threaten that they'll, launch civil action and things like that, but people can sue for pretty much anything. I've been sued before. That doesn't mean that anything's going to come of it, but I know it's not nice to think that that could happen. So definitely my recommendation will be to stick with the provincial guidelines on mask usage or face coverings. And you're well within your rights. As I said, it's all for safety reasons. You're not violating their rights based on race or anything like that. Okay. Last drink program and our licensed premises have kind of slowed down, obviously, with the pandemic that's ongoing and the further lockdown that we're experiencing now. So that's kind of taken to the back burner as well. Like I said, John is kind of stretched to the limit right now. He's also doing follow-up for the last large protest. And we've got another protest that's scheduled at the same location this Saturday that's coming up as well. So we're gonna have to deal with that. That does take a lot of resources away from us. People see, okay, it looks like there's some police officers there, but there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that people don't see because we don't want to escalate it. So we use a measured response and kind of put members where we need them as we need them. So there's a lot of stuff behind the scene with, undercover teams that are ready to move in as reactionary elements, things like that. So as it stands right now, Blake Vokey is our only full-time beat member. And unfortunately, he's been taken for a number of court security matters for homicide trials and a lot of platoon shortages, just like every business and things that are still operating. As soon as we have a case of COVID that comes in where someone may be affected, it takes away huge from our platoon resources. And a lot of times he'll be pulled away to assist with that. So as usual, we're trying to do everything possible with our limited resources. And I don't have an answer for you about when we'll be getting more resources. Obviously, we're pretty under-resourced at the moment. So one thing on a good note, Staff Sergeant Chenny Venn, who heads our auxiliary program, that initiative is still kind of running. It's slowed down a bit with this latest lockdown, but we do have auxiliary members that go down under a sworn member and do patrols in the downtown and other areas of the city. Get some visibility down there and some uniform presence. So that is still continuing. It's just kind of slowed down at this point. I know they've gone out, I think it's primarily on Saturdays that they will go out. Another thing for the downtown area, Waterloo, Wilfrid Laurier University Special Constable Service. I've been working on something with Inspector Bell Sampson to expand their authorities. So we've got a pilot project that's up and running now that will be starting this Friday, where they will have the ability to issue provincial offense notices in relation to their property. So that's always nice to have that going to assist with the trespassing issues and all other things that are going on downtown with people going onto properties where they're not wanted. And then finally, the only other thing, I can't speak too much of it because it's an ongoing SIU investigation now. But again, April 4th to 8th, we're involved in an extended standoff with an armed suspect. It was resolved not totally peacefully. It was resolved using only as much force as we had to use. I can't speak too much about it, but all I can say is if you read the comments on Facebook and media and things like that, just try to reserve judgment until you have the whole picture, because there's a lot of information floating around out there that it upsets me when I read it as well. So just keep that in mind. Other than that, if you have any questions, I'll mute myself and I'll see if anyone needs to ask me anything.
Kathy?
Hi, through you, Chair. Sergeant Grantham, I'm really sorry to even ask you this because you're dealing with such bigger issues. I have this little nuisance question. Grocery carts. Do grocery stores not care that people are stealing their carts? Can you not charge theft for people taking grocery carts around the city and using them? Or is it just such a nuisance and they don't have ID anyway, it's not worth it? Can you shed some light on that?
Yes, definitely. We have done these programs in the past. We have different things that our uniform members can do and beat can do for special projects. And the last we had with that, the guys took one of our property vans, went out and seized numerous shopping carts. They brought them back to the owners, and the owners didn't really want them back at that point because they knew what they had been used for. So they kind of turned into, nothing they wanted to put back into having their customers use. So we have explored charges with that, and it's not bad, but the courts kind of see it where it's more on a low scale of what's should be coming to court, if I can say it that way. I'm trying to be kind of somewhat diplomatic here. So if it's a homeless person that's got a cart with their belongings in it, and then we've made a theft charge, we can give them a Form 10 or a Form 9 to appear in court. And when it goes to court, the judges really don't like seeing those charges because they're, and I don't want to say it's minor because everything needs to be addressed, but that's the issue that we're having is we're not getting the support from the whole system in general saying, okay, yeah, we need to do something about this. It's an issue. So that's why in recent past, we've kind of pulled away from doing those special projects. That answers your question.
Thank you. Yeah, I just see that it is a growing concern around the city. I think we're seeing them around our different properties that we manage throughout the city. Thank you.
Go ahead, Dwight.
Yes, Chris, leading to these grocery carts, I went around personally to the grocery stores downtown in the West Brant there with the outreach program and tried to get some idea whether they were interested in getting their carts back and what was going on there. And I got a very negative reception towards stuff going on. In fact, they have people out that will pick up their carts for them. The only trouble is, and I've experienced this, they come along and then they dump all the homeless possessions on my property, which they did, and take the cart back home with them. So that leads to another problem. We've got certainly a lot of issues. Anyhow, I do have a question for Chris. We're summer coming up and the rest of it here, and we do have that security service in, but that security service seems to be just moving the people from municipal properties onto our business owners' properties and private individuals here. And there's a lot of damage being done by these socially disadvantaged too and stuff going on. it doesn't replace police officers, and with any program that can be implemented, I know with summer holidays coming up and different other things, our police service there is quite important. It's a mainstay for all of us here. Once we get through this COVID and the university gets back in operation and kind of still got more people around, I think it'll alleviate things, but it'll just move everybody off into other areas. That's kind of what happens. But that's my main concern is the summer, summer in the city.
Yeah, so we're also concerned about the summer. We're heading into it already with somewhat diminished resources. And that's the issue we have. Obviously, we can continue to move people around, but it doesn't really accomplish anything. It just moves the problem to another location. So what we really need to get at the root of the problem, which is beyond our scope, right? We can't really deal with that. So we like to work on prevention as well when we can, but lately it's been a lot of just response. We're responding. Calls are jamming up on the board as soon as the guys are logging on to the calls or logging onto the computer, and then it's go until their end of shift. So I don't have an answer for that. All I can say is I'm hoping that we're going to start getting some more resources in. I know we've got some of our officers that are off are due to come back, and we are in the midst of hiring more officers, which we really need for frontline.
Are there any more questions for Sergeant Grantham? If not, we're going to thank you very much. Sorry. Thank you very much for being here, Chris, and thanks for everything that you do.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day. All right. Okay, so we'll move on to 6.1, which is we welcome Ben Strasser, who is our marketing guru. And Ben's co-hosting today, so he can give his presentation.
Muted. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for having me. I'm going to share my screen. Perfect. So here, everybody should be able to see it there. Perfect. So this is a continuation of our This Is My Downtown campaign, which I love and I adore seeing these come together. And each month tend to get to meet a new business owner that maybe isn't as vocal as some of the others. So it's cool to hear the different stories of how people ended up coming downtown, opening up a business and what they're providing and what they're doing for our community. So this was in January, so you may have seen this one, but I wanted to make sure that we highlighted this one. This is Aaron and Dave from Creative Chaos. We've got Nicole Betta from the Viper Den. And so each of these has photography attached to it. The business gets photos from the shoot. They get these like portrait style for the actual ad itself. And then a story is written of each business, their story, why they opened up, how they be, like in Nicole's case, why did she open up a record store? Where did her love of music come from? And those kind of questions, so that people, the community, can get to know these businesses and can know the face behind them, and just kind of create and build that relationship. Then we've got Chris Madison from Custom Color T-shirts and apparel. Really cool story, lots of perseverance there. And it was great to get to know him as well. So great story. That one just went out a couple weeks ago. And then this one here is the next one to go out. This one hasn't gone out yet, but this is Zyka Indian Cuisine. And these two gentlemen have a really interesting story too. So I'm excited to share that one. Zoom bar always gets in the way of me trying to do this. Okay, here we go. This is the next cool thing. I'm really excited about this one. This will be launching on Friday. And so this is our Eat Downtown at Home guide. So it's a Downtown Brantford's food guide. So it has every single restaurant inside of it. It's got photos, it's got connections, so you can actually click through and you'll be able to go to like their Facebook page, their website, all through this e-guide. So you can see here, Eat Downtown at Home, the information about the BIA, a cool pictorial of the map. And then each of these pages is highlighting the This Is My Downtown articles. The best part about this is that it can constantly be updated and changed without a huge hassle, where if it was a physical printed book, we would have to we wouldn't be able to change it. We would have to set it in stone and go. And so with the amount of restaurants, which is an incredible story in itself, the amount of restaurants that have opened up in the last few months at downtown is really cool. So we're able to consistently add them and make sure that they're getting added into this book so that they're getting noticed and people can find them much easier. So This Is My Downtown. So you click this, you'll be able to go to their story. And then as we go through here, Admiral Submarine and a Soul Food Kitchen. So a brief little blurb about it. And then also, then you could be able to click these and that'll go to either to the map to call them or to their Facebook or web page if they have those available. Which would be just a really neat way to be able to share the restaurants that we have downtown. And what we had decided was that the downtown is made up, like if you look at the breakdown of restaurants to retail, restaurants are the main, like a main big chunk. And right now with everything that's going on in the world, they're the businesses that have needed that, like the ability to get their information out there. For a time, they weren't able to actually have people be open, and we're back there now. So we've got them, and then we're including, so throughout this, we're going to be having these little ads, as you see in This Is My Downtown. It's going to be ads for the different retail businesses that we have to be able to highlight them while driving and pushing traffic for Eat Downtown. So I don't know, I hope that everybody's had a chance to see this video. I'm not going to play it because I'm not sure if we're able to get the audio through right now. But if you can head to the Downtown Brantford Facebook page and look, it's the very top, it's pinned post. And this is it's a minute and 12 seconds long, and it highlights restaurants in the downtown, and kind of, it tells the story of what these restaurants have persevered over the last year and just their journey. And it was really special to just to be able to capture this. And so we're going to be doing one of these videos each quarter. So the next one will be coming out in June. And it's just going to be what we're hoping is the vision, is that we're able to, as hopefully everything continues to open up, we're hoping that this is a story of perseverance and like just courage to continue and move through all the way up to places being able to be open, and just getting into more of a celebration of the fact that we're open and able to. So that'll be transitioning over the course of the year through these quarterly videos. But this one ends on, thank you for being with us every step of the way, stronger together, continuing with that messaging and ending on that. And it's been received really, really well. So we're very excited about that. So we'd love your thoughts on those videos as we continue to do these. And then here, this is just a brief highlight of the content that has been created. Now, not all of this is by us. Some of this is shared by Annette from other businesses, and some of this is shared by Annette too. But each week we do 3 posts a week for downtown, highlighting different downtown businesses, exploring downtown, eating downtown, whatever it may be. That's what these are here. We're getting into Christmas. Perfect. And then last but not least, we do have the website live. Now there is the directory component is coming. It's just about done. We're just waiting to have an updated list put together with the shifts in the businesses, but that'll be coming very, very soon. But the new website is now live with the Stronger Together messaging, showcasing. It's very visual, lots of pictures, and just highlighting the businesses downtown and just showcasing how great our downtown is. There's Anne Marie, there's Lizanna, there's John. Events, students, BIA information, sign up for email updates. And so, yeah, so we're excited to have this going, and it's going to be an ongoing process as we continue to capture photos. We'll continue to add them in here and just continue to update it. One thing that we will be doing is part of the Eat Downtown guide. We're going to be contacting businesses once we're able to, and once the businesses are comfortable with it. We are a select few are going to be getting photo shoots for their food to be able to update, because as you go through and search, not everybody has the opportunity to capture their food in the best light. And sometimes it can be very hard to capture that food with a like a camera on your phone, what that might be. So we're going to be offering some photography to these restaurants to kind of up their photo game for their food and really help showcase them. And as well, the This Is My Downtown articles going forward are going to be more focused on the retail and service sectors to make sure that we're balancing that out and moving forward with that. I believe that is everything for now. Barb, I'll stop this.
Okay. Thanks, Ben. That is really tremendous. So, are there any questions of Ben? Seeing none. Oh, Councillor Wall.
Yeah, could you describe, thank you for your presentation, by the way. I think you're doing a bang up job with everything you've been doing over the pandemic, and we don't get to tell you that enough, so thank you. I just was wondering if you could describe to this committee or to this board some of the challenges that you've faced through the pandemic, and if there's anything that we could be doing to provide more support or less support, or if everything's just hunky-dory and fantastic. I can't imagine it's been easy, though. Could you describe to some of the challenges that you've been facing marketing during this crazy time?
Definitely. The biggest part has been the communication and being able to get in front of people with the rules consistent. I mean, everybody's dealing with that. The rules consistently shifting as to whether we're able to be there in person, whether we're not able to be there in person, if we are able to be there based on the rules, but the business isn't comfortable. So there's like every single interaction, there's a 5 or 6 questions that goes into that may change. We had that today where we were supposed to have a video shoot, and we just said, hey, just checking in to make sure. And then the business owner said, you know what, I'm not feeling comfortable with this anymore. Can we postpone? So there's been a lot of shifting, and that's not a problem. Like, we understand this is a very strange time, but it's something that we're constantly dealing with, that shifting of the schedule. And once we get everybody booked in to do a shoot, it's not necessarily like we can just turn on a dime and then say, okay, well, we're good next week. That time then to find that next chunk of time to be able to get everybody together, to be able to do what we're meant or what we're set out to do. It's not always easy to be able to make that happen right away, right after. I'd say that's probably been the biggest thing, is what we're facing. And it's just the constant shifting of what we're able to do and what we're not able to do, and just everybody's comfort level with that.
Awesome. And then I don't know if it's appropriate, but I have a suggestion, if that's okay.
Please, yeah, if you're asking me.
Well, I mean, I think it's within this presentation's mandate. So I, as councillor, have been receiving a number of phone calls from local business owners asking, what's available to help me keep my doors open, whether it's grants or fundings or initiatives or support. And I was wondering if I could ask through this committee for you to reach out to May over at the BRC and economic development directly through maybe like Kevin Finney, to see if we could do some programming from us to our members, saying like, here's some information about grants, or here's information about programs or hiring initiatives or digital funding sources. Like, I know that the province of Ontario does have a lot of stuff out there, and I was just wondering if we could, a lot of our stuff is about branding and marketing the businesses. I wonder if we could create some materials to help direct them to resources, considering you're kind of like our boots on the ground out there, going around all the businesses too. So just a thought. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Josh. And so that's something, so we are part of the We Are Digital Squad with May and the team at the BRC. So that is definitely something that we can talk about. And when you do have those businesses reach out, please direct them to either myself or to May and the team to be able to get that help. As far as setting up like an info night or to talk about marketing or advertising for businesses of what they can do to kind of help manage their way through all of this, we'd be very open to setting something up like that. And I know that we've talked about doing something like that in the past, but for whatever reason, it just didn't come to light, probably just things shifting around with what we're dealing with right now. But we would love to work on something like that.
Okay, thank you. I
Thanks.
believe Beth, I'm sorry. I believe Beth had a question.
Yes, and I saw that inside of the chat. So just in case anybody is not sure if I can ask a question as a liaison, this work looks great. Thank you. Just wondering how the Eat Brantford guide functions on mobile if it is responsibly designed. Yes. So the answer is yes. So you can flip through and be able to touch everything, and it's made to work well that way. Thank you for the question, Beth.
Okay. Any other questions of Ben? Dwight, go ahead.
Yes, I think to answer Councillor Wall, Annette goes above and beyond her job as far as trying to help the membership. We post everything online as well there with things, and we have limited resources this year because of our budget restrictions and the rest of it. And I like what Ben's doing. It's very positive. It keeps a positive vein, which is what we need to do. And that in itself, with Annette and the office open as a contact spot for everybody to go to, we get more requests actually than probably what the city does as far as their job is concerned. So, and I won't go there anymore. Anyhow. No.
Karen, I'm sorry, Karen?
And thank you. Everything looks spectacular. My question is, if I'm on the website when this Downtown Eats goes live, will I be able to promote it through my personal Facebook page? Will I have that ability to just take it and run with it?
Yes, you will for sure. And
Fabulous.
I do have to talk to you as well about getting the updated information for the website for Conestoga too. So I've got a note here to talk to you about that after.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Perfect. You're welcome.
Thanks, Karen. Any further questions? All right, thank you. Thank you, Ben. That's wonderful. You're doing a great job and a good service for the BIA and the downtown. And, you know, what else can I say? It's just fabulous. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Excuse me. All right, we'll move on to 6.2, which is the lease renewal for Snowflakes, lit and unlit. We have a recommendation from the executive committee that the DBBIA Board of Management renew the lease with sheer display for 1 additional year for the 50 lit and 40 unlit decorations, at which time the second lease for 30 unlit decorations expires and other options can be considered for 2022. That's $17,000 from the decorations account. Could I have someone from the board? Dwight, are you moving this?
I'm moving the motion.
All right. Do you have a seconder? Kathy, thank you. Okay. Is there any discussion? Go ahead, Dwight.
I just might say we'd already planned on this. We looked at other last year for some other recommendations, and that did go there. But this puts us in line to bring everything together next year. And next year, then we can best decide what we need to do, the decorations, the changes, and everything else. And we will get on this early, so we won't be left to the last minute with the decisions on stuff. So I think it's the best under the circumstances.
Thank you, Dwight. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call the vote on this motion. All in favor? All right, thank you. That was carried. All right, 6.3, we had John O'Neill was going to join us to talk about protests in the downtown, but John's not here. So, and I think Sergeant Grantham may have covered that fairly well. Dwight, did you have a question on this?
I was just going to say, I think Constable or Sergeant Grantham did cover this very well. The chamber also sent out a notice there as well, that Annette forwarded everybody with that. So we just stay the course with our rights, and we do have the ability to refuse under health conditions with everything that's going on. But it's totally amazing under the circumstances out there.
Okay. Thank you for mentioning the chamber, and thank you, David, while you're here, because you did an excellent job on that, and we really appreciate you including us and providing that for all the businesses, because it's become a problem which we've never had before. So so many things we've never had before this year, but we appreciate your input into that and the time that you took to do that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I thought I cleared that with Sergeant Grantham first, just to make sure that the language was good and it was consistent with the message that I had sent. So, and yeah, Ken from President Ken McNaughton, who's a BIA member as well. Yeah, he supported it as well. So I think we haven't heard anything yet, but yeah, everything that's been said regarding being able to operate a business and do it well and safely is important. So hopefully we had feedback from other businesses, both in Brantford and businesses that have members in Brantford as well as in other communities, and they're experiencing this all over the place. So yeah, good to have something for them to operate under.
Excellent. Thank you again. All right. Any other comments on this subject just while we're around the table? No? All right, seeing none, thank you. We'll move on to 6.4, which is the 2020 financials. Dwight, would you like to discuss this?
We're pretty much on course here with the 2020 financials there. We have sent a letter to Millards. They're going to audit everything, and we forwarded everything on to the city. And I believe we're in good stead this year. We'll have to deal with quite a few issues coming into 2022 for sure, and see where we go from here. So yeah, and our 2020 financials were approved, so we submitted them as approved.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, Dwight. We don't need a motion on that, do we, Annette? Oh, we do. Oh, okay, sorry. All right, we need a motion, Dwight.
I'm making that motion, emotion.
All right, do you have a seconder? Anne-Marie? A second? Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, any further discussion on the financials?
Sorry,
Go ahead, Karen.
Barb, just to clarify with the financials, further on, are we discussing the budget that was sent to us, or is that part of this discussion right now?
The budget has come and gone, and this was part of the audited financial statements.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but if you have a question about the budget, just ask it.
I guess when I was looking at the budget, it looked under salaries that there was a decrease this year, which is quite unique to see a decrease in salaries. And I just wondered why that was.
Good question. I'll have to find that. Annette, do you know what that answer is?
It might just have been a calculation error. And I assume the 2020 went up because the benefits went up. And maybe that wasn't taken into account, was the increase in the benefits, because they've gone up quite a bit, especially with the COVID. Sorry.
Okay, well, I just hope that could be looked at, because it's a $5,000 difference between the actuals from 2020 and then the budget line.
Go ahead, Annette.
It also seems to use different categories than we do. So there's a chance that they could have included something else in that. I've noticed that with a few of the categories, and I've questioned them about it. They lump different things together than we do on our budget. They don't match side by side. So that could be a question for them. Something else they've included in that amount.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so if no, any further discussion? All right, seeing none. Oh, Dwight, go ahead.
Just, I can assure you that we made sure that Annette, there was no increase, which we couldn't do this year at all. But she hasn't been decreased at all as far as her remuneration is concerned. But the benefits have risen, and we have no control over those stuff. But as Annette has explained, I think it's the way the city requests it and lumps it, the way it's figured in there. So.
Okay, thank you, Dwight. All right, any further discussion? All right, seeing none, may I call the vote on this motion? All in favor? And it's carried. Thank you very much. All right, we move on to 6.5, which is social behavior in the downtown. This is, are there any comments, additional comments to what we've had this morning? All right, Kathy, go ahead.
There was that article in the paper that there seems to have been an improvement from the security efforts by the city at their properties. Again, those security efforts are focused on city-owned properties, not on other properties, though I think they're looking at trying to expand that a little bit further. I guess the only thing some of our staff have noticed in the downtown is there seems to be a lot of new faces of people in the downtown, not the usual faces that we see. So I don't know if there's been a busload brought into Brantford again, and we've got some new faces to get used to, which might mean new or different problems. I don't know. And of course, as I asked Sergeant Grantham, the other concern is these grocery carts and people taking grocery stores from grocery stores, and we're seeing them all over the city. This is not just downtown. And so maybe it's something the city needs to take notice of, because I'm concerned as we improve the security downtown, which is awesome, it might just push some of this use into the surrounding neighborhoods. I'm seeing it more around even our office buildings on West Street, because I think some are coming out of the downtown core and they're in all the surrounding neighborhoods. So something the councillors might hear more about too from their constituents of that type of behavior and use of different areas. So that's all. We haven't really seen a reduction. There's been less graffiti on the Temple building, which is directly beside the Federal building, also known as the new City Hall. Mind you, there's lots of activity there, so we don't know whether it's related to improved security or just more activity. I'm hoping they're going to get some exterior lights on that building soon. Maybe perhaps Councillor Wall, it's something you can inquire with the construction team. When will they be improving the exterior lighting on the new City Hall to deter activity around the property? And that might just be coming at a certain time in the construction envelope anyway. So, but that's the update from our office anyway, what we're seeing.
Thank you, Kathy. Lizanna, did you have a comment?
Yes, I was just going to comment that it's more visible now seeing the security walking down in the Colburn Street where I can see. So that is, I think, been a help. Now I've had two incidences, one where I actually have a video of where they're preparing to do crystal meth and they're doing the whole bit. So that was one, and sleeping and drunk on the sidewalk. But it's really better. I think it is. And I think it's because it's more visible. Even if they can't help us right now, we'll hope they can in the future, the security. But at least walking past our building is I think, a deterrent. So I think that's good.
Thank you, Lizanna. Karen, go ahead.
I can't speak for our Conestoga Security Department other than to say that they have been involved with meetings around some of the issues at the corner of 274 Colburn Street and Clarence. There has been quite a bit of activity on Facebook around the fact that that is part of our parking lot at 274 Coburn, that if we are not moving people along or engaging in disrupting that activity, that we are in support or in favor of that behavior, because we're not addressing it. And in the background, it is being addressed when it is appropriate. And I just want that recognized.
Thank you, Beth. All right, any further discussion? No, okay, seeing none, thank you very much. We'll move on to 6.6 and development updates. Oh, that was from Annette, thank you. Any further comment, Annette, on development?
No, these are just updates, just in case people haven't been around or seen some of the things that are going on downtown. So the former Herald and Getz is completely gone now. It's a vacant land, and 234 Coburn Street is in the process of being demolished.
Okay, thank you. Dwight, go ahead.
I think there seems to be some clarification here, although these buildings have been demolished. Harold and Getz is straightforward, but 234 Colburn Street, there's a lot of disinformation out there with regard to the use of that property after it's demolished. And I believe it is the intent of the university to enhance their parking more than anything else. And that building was a really no value. It had been really abused over the years. So I'd just like to see some clarification on that rather than disinformation.
Okay, Karen, did you have a question?
I was wondering if the location of Harold and Goats, is it up for sale at this point, that land? Does anyone know?
And at any
I'm not
knowledge on that?
positive. I
No.
can look that one up and see if they've listed it yet.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any further questions?
Oh,
Thank you.
oh, sorry.
Oh, yes, Kathy, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just didn't
That's all
know
right.
if you have heard, if the BIA has heard anything from the city with regards to their camera project and how that's coming along, or if there's a expected timeline to getting that camera system up and running.
I don't know if anyone has the answer for that, either Steve or Councillor Wall.
The downtown camera system, we're expecting to have up and running by the end of this year.
Oh, not till then, eh? Nothing through the summer. I'm really concerned about the warmer weather coming and the behavioral changes that come with the nice weather.
The team's aware of the trends that will be impacted by the warmer weather, so we're trying to prepare for that as best as we can. And just given the scope of the surveillance project, it's grown in size because the corporation is trying to include other CCTV projects that are in the pipeline to be rolled out at the same time to achieve some efficiencies, to make sure it's standardized and the systems are compatible and meet the needs across a corporation. So in addition to the downtown CCTV cameras, which will be prioritized in this project, they will be rolled out first and online first. However, we've added also cameras that will be installed at the Parkade, which is a really high activity site, additional cameras there at our public library branches, and also at 9 housing sites if funding allows for that. So the scope of the project has really grown, so that's required a bit more time to put out the RFP. It's in the final stages right now of being prepared, and we'll go out to market, and we're sticking with the timeline that we originally had planned, which is to make sure that that downtown system is online by the end of this year, and the other systems will be kind of second, third priority.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Steve. All right, we're going to move on to, oh, sorry, Lizanna, go ahead.
Just one more thing. I don't know if this is where I should say this, but again, I'm going to go with the noise and the cars racing on Colburn. And it is like, they must not have mufflers or something to amplify it. It is like almost totally scary to watch this. I see it day and night. And this is to me very dangerous for one thing, but is there a noise bylaw? Is there something they can do with these people that do that? They go up and down and they go around the block and they do it again. So it's, I watch it from, I'm now living here and I can watch it night and day. So not only do I work here, but I also live here. So it is very annoying and very, very scary. So I don't know if there's something they can do. Again, I go with the two-way traffic. I really, really think that would help. Not only the speeding, but our businesses as well. And I think all the merchants would really appreciate the extra cars both ways.
Barbara, I could speak to that if.
Go ahead, Gagan. Yeah.
Yeah, so Lizanna, that's a great point. And through the EA that I'm going to be giving an update about a little bit later, we are going to be examining noise, traffic, you know, the speeding down Colburn into Lucy Street. So it definitely won't be an immediate fix just because we're still in the EA phases. So any changes will still take a couple of years to come to fruition. However, if there's a more immediate solution, like a noise bylaw, I'm not aware of any right now. That'll be something I'll have to ask our bylaw team about and maybe bring it back and provide that update to Annette. However, it is something that's being examined through the EA.
Thank you, Gagan. All right. We're going to move on to number 7 because I think we've diverted a little bit from the agenda. We don't have James here from the library, so we'll go on with May. May Leg.
Thank you, Barb.
Mhm.
So BRC staff, we continue to work from home until at least another month. And we are working with clients virtually. We've found a lot of people are just getting used to interacting by Zoom. So that has worked, and by email and phone, of course. And as Ben mentioned, I mean, the landscape continuously is changing for small businesses. And it's very sad to see some of our downtown businesses closed up. But it is interesting and exciting to see the ones that have opened. And so we continue to work with them. And a lot of businesses, of course, are really want to know what government relief programs are what's happening, what's available to them. And so we have pointed them in different directions. There's also great resources when it comes to COVID policies that are mandatory for every business. There are really good resources out there for businesses for that. Our digital Main Street program was extended till June 4th. And so we continue to have our digital service squad members on the in reaching out to businesses, of course, not in person, but virtually. We have started our next cohort with Starter Company Plus. That's a grant program for businesses that are starting or expanding. And we have actually a very high number in that program. We have 24 people who are interested in working through that program. We only have 11 grants, so we'll see how that goes. But really good uptake from the community and really high caliber business ideas and businesses interested in that. Also this year, we are running our summer company program. So if you know any students who would like to run a business for the summer between 15 and 29, and they're returning to school, this is a grant program. They can get $1,500 to start up their business. We work with them through the process. They have to go through the whole process of doing a business plan, startup budget, cash flow. It has been a great experience. This program has been around since early 2000s, and we see businesses that have grown out of that are still operating, or business people who have operated businesses on the side. So if you know any students, tell the application process is open. So I can send out the website. It's ontario.ca summer company, any students that are interested. And that's about it right now. If yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions for me? All right, seeing none. Thank you very much, May. That's, all of these opportunities are fabulous, and especially in these times, I'm sure so much appreciated. Okay, Carrie, do you have a question? No, she doesn't. Okay. All right, we'll move on to Kristen. Welcome, Kristen.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all well. So my update is the events team has been busy planning. We are also applying for the second round of the Reconnect Festivals and Events grant. So hopefully we're successful in receiving the funding for that. We are busy planning. Obviously, the community safety is #1 right now throughout the pandemic. So we're just trying to navigate what Summer in the Square will look like to be offer COVID-friendly activities for the community. So this year there will be activities and programs in the square, but it just will look a little different than it usually does and has in the past. We're also busy planning Canada Day, revised programming from the 20,000 people we usually have at Lions Park. So that's an update with the square. The splash pad, although the weather's been beautiful, it's almost splash pad weather, but it's not open quite yet. Hopefully soon, end of May most likely. I do have an update. Jennifer Middleton, I don't know if you've heard, but she has returned to the events team. So unfortunately, this will most likely be my last BIA meeting with you guys. So she'll be back at the meetings. I'll go into my previous position that I was in 2.5 years ago now. And, but I just want to say that I really appreciate the opportunity to get to know everyone here and build the relationships I have over the years. And I don't know how much we'll run into each other now that I'm working from home and, COVID times, but I'm sure we'll cross paths in the future. And also, if there's anything anyone ever needs, please feel free to reach out. You all have my email. Okay, thank you. That's all from me.
Thank you, Kristen. And I know on behalf of everyone, we wish you well and going back to what you were doing before, and appreciated your being present at our meetings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Beth Gurney from Laurier.
Good morning, Barbara. Thank you, everyone. Nice to see you. So I will start my updates with to answer what Dwight had mentioned, which is gives a little further background on the 234 Colborne property. So the university has pre-COVID, we had a wait list for university managed parking spots. So there was some research undertaken by our facilities folks, and at the end of the day, they determined that 234 Colborne was the most viable option in terms of adding some inventory to our university managed parking lots. So the demolition was actually delayed because of the last year's events, and it finally got back on the books this week and has come down. My understanding is that the site will be leveled and seeded, and then it won't, because the realities of our parking pressures are different right now than they were a year and a half ago, and it will be paved and brought into the inventory nearer to the time when we have more people on campus. So that is the current status of that property. And if anyone has questions or you field questions from the community, we always appreciate your support in sharing correct information. So let me just go back to the rest of my update. So the other thing I wanted to mention is the Lucy Marketplace residence, which is the new portion of the Heritage House Lucy Marketplace construction project we did that's operated with the city. As you know, was brought on as an emergency shelter for some of our most vulnerable community members who didn't have another option to isolate during the pandemic. So that agreement has been extended until June 12th. So Rosewood will continue to operate that site until June 12th. I've been told that an extension after that likely will not happen because we'll need time to get the property prepared again for the fall to welcome our students back. At the sorry, you may recall that I mentioned a while back that I connected one of our faculty members from the user experience design program with Annette and Barbara, and I'm excited to report that their class took the BIA SWOT analysis and strategic priorities and came up with 10 different projects. And the faculty member has shortlisted what he feels are the top 3, and he would like to present those to the BIA and to some Laurier folks. So I know that he's reaching out to Annette and Barbara about dates, but I just say if anyone on this call is able to join, please do, because he gave me the highlights, and I think there are 3 great projects. The students are really excited to be doing sort of, you know, meaningful, thoughtful work that can have real impacts in the community. And I also think hearing Ben's updates, there's probably an opportunity. One group in particular is eager to make their project come to life. Maybe there is some opportunity to actually incorporate some of what Ben's doing too. So at One Market, the vaccination clinics continue. Reports are that things are going well. We are going to do some modifications with the health unit to change the path into the space, because on some days I think folks are having to line up outside. I think that's a generation that's always on time for stuff. So people are maybe a little earlier than they need to be, and we end up with lineups. So I think that there's some work being done to correct that, and then also to ensure that the renovation work planned for the lower level of One Market, which is a student life levy funded lounge for the students, can take place so that it's ready for the fall. And as far as the fall goes, similar report to what I've been doing lately, but we are planning for as much in person as we can have. We know that that's a moving target right now, but there are multiple scenario plan options being worked through. And this week we've been having town hall meetings internally for students, and there's one today for staff and faculty with our senior leadership talking through the planning and what's going into that. But at this point, what I can say is we want to do as much as we can safely do in person. You may have seen in the media that we recently launched Wilfrid Laurier International College, which is a partnership with Navitas. So this will help Laurier, as well as our partners in post-secondary at Conestoga, increase the student population to 5 and eventually 8,000 in the community. And the initial cohort will have to be remote just because of the challenges of visas and that sort of thing now. But essentially, it's a pathway program for international students who sometimes can't succeed in Canadian undergraduate studies immediately because of language challenges or maybe a lack of familiarity with the Canadian academic system. So they are essentially taking Laurier programs, Laurier classes that are taught by Laurier faculty, but they're in a stream with other international students, and they get wraparound supports to set them up for success. Previously, it was assumed that you sort of come as an international student and you sink or you swim, which is really not a great model for anyone. So this program allows those students to have those supports until they're ready, and then they just transfer seamlessly into the Laurier undergraduate program of their choice. The International College will be based at One Market in Brantford, so those first couple of years will all be here, and then they have programs at both Waterloo and Brantford that they can opt to take the pathway towards. So our goal over the 10-year agreement with Navitas would be to grow that to 1,000 students through that program. And then the last thing I'll share is the Brantford campus studentship. So we know that this has been a really challenging year for students. We also know it's been a really challenging year for the community. So getting into university is no small feat, and those students have missed out on a lot of celebrations and graduations and proms. So to acknowledge and celebrate that achievement, we have released some of our unrestricted funds, and every incoming undergraduate student at the Brantford campus first year will have $500 additional added to their One Card balance. So you may be familiar with the One Card, which is their student ID, but it's also sort of what I would call a tuck shop card where they can use it to make purchases. It's their Laurier Brantford YMCA access card. So those students will have an additional $500. So we in Brantford, because we don't have centralized food services, we have a local grocery store and a handful of local restaurants who are One Card partners. So you can go into the Works or 9 North and pay for your lunch with that One Card. So we hope that this is going to create some economic stimulus for the core. And even if you're not a One Card program business, the fact that students have an extra $500 of discretionary funds will then hopefully free up dollars for them to spend out of their own bank account at other businesses if they know that the food piece of their expenses is covered more than they expected. So we're really pleased. It's a Brantford only initiative, and we're really pleased that the university did this. So those are my updates. Thank you so much.
That's excellent, Beth. Thank you. Are there any questions of Beth? Dwight?
Yes, Beth, I was interested to point out at that parking lot at Charlotte Street there, there's 3 electrification power stations there for the electric cars and that. I don't know how that works. I would imagine you have to get access to that parking lot. I don't know if there's a charge, but that probably is the only powering station in the downtown right now for electric cars. And it's quite unique. It's quite future thinking there for the university, because this electrification of vehicles is coming on quicker than we even care to imagine. So, and that's very good. But anyhow, the other thing I wanted to point out was the award that we posted there for the student there at Laurier. As we normally do, we got a lovely thank you letter from the individual expressing how happy he was with it and how it was going to further his education and help him out that much more. So we're only too happy to partner with Laurier and the university. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwight. Any further comments? No, seeing none. Thank you, Beth. And we're really excited to see the great reveal from the students. It's a great partnership, and we're looking forward to see what they come up with. Their bright minds. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to Goggin. Welcome, Goggin.
Thank you. I have updates on a couple of different projects. So I'll start with the 3 Grand River crossings update. Now, if you'll recall, that's the EA that we're looking at repairing or potentially replacing any of the 3 crossings over the Grand River that lead into downtown. We actually just had our second and final PIC for that project, so it's wrapping up now. And the recommendations and preferred alternative for that one was to keep Lorne Bridge open as it's a major transportation route through the city, and just make repairs to it as needed. Do the rehabilitation and minor repairs to TH&B Crossing Bridge, which is the one that's currently open for pedestrians and cyclists. And eventually removing that one once the life cycle has passed, and to replace Brant's Crossing completely. So that doesn't mean to replace the location of Brant's Crossing. I know that from the feedback that we got from the community, that was the more preferred bridge into downtown. So we are just going to be replacing the actual bridge itself. And hopefully this lends for cycling lanes in the future and more conducive design. So that's where we are with that project. And as I said, we're still at PIC2. There haven't been any decisions made by council as of yet. The decision will probably be made likely in the summer of this year when the project comes before council, but that's where we're at with that one. And our studies have all indicated that those are the preferred options for those bridges. And I guess I'll move on to my other ones, and then if anybody has questions, they can ask at the end. And then for the downtown streetscaping EA, we are close to PIC2 for that one. So we had our first PIC back in December and January. And that was just a high level PIC where we provided information about what our intent was with this project and where we're hoping to go with it. This PIC coming up likely in May will present the alternatives for each of the options. So the one-way traffic versus the two-way traffic. And we've completed some background studies, including parking, transportation, and a lot of our natural environment heritage studies. And those will go into evaluating the alternatives. So at this PIC, we will actually look at the technical aspect of all of these preferred options. Likely, we're going to be presenting 3 options for one-way traffic and 3 options for two-way traffic, and providing information about how we've been assessing all of these based on our evaluation criteria, how all of the options score, and what the preferred alternatives are for those streets. This is not going to be the last PIC. We're still planning on doing one more public information center following this one, where we'll get more into detail about things like furniture, space, and what you're actually going to be doing on the streets. But the purpose of this public information center is going to be to determine the bigger picture items. So one-way versus two-way traffic, the allowance for parking, allowance for bicycle lanes, and those more spatial components. So as I said, that'll likely be in May. We're tracking for next month at some point. It will be a live event, similarly to how we did the bridges, where we will be hosting it live on YouTube from our clerk's department's Zoom. So it'll be streamed live on our YouTube page, and folks will have the opportunity to register to speak and ask questions. And following the live event, we will have a 2-week question and answer period. So anybody who's unable to attend online will be able to still submit their feedback. So that's where we are with that one. We haven't had any of our stakeholder meetings yet, but those will be planned in the next couple of weeks, and I will definitely be reaching out to Annette for if anybody from the BIA wants to attend those stakeholder meetings. And of course, everybody's free to attend the live event as well. So that's for the downtown streetscaping EA. And then the final update is on the downtown revitalization, the Main Street revitalization grant funding. So I've given a couple of updates about the furniture that we purchased through this provincial grant that we were awarded a couple of years ago. But just as an update, I did receive from our operations staff that they're going to be installing the planters very soon. Some of you may have noticed that the planters were lifted out of downtown. They're being replaced with new units that we purchased through this grant funding. So those will be coming very soon. You should be seeing those. And we did purchase and install the new waste containers, which have compacting ability. So they contain a lot more storage in there, and they're more efficient for waste collection. So we've installed those downtown, and we have a couple left. We're just working on the final locations for those. We also did purchase the recycling bins. I'm sorry, I haven't been downtown in a little while since we're in stay at home, but I believe the recycling bins will follow as well very shortly. And there are some remaining bike racks and benches that will also be installed still. So hopefully that'll be done by the summer this year. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Dwight has a question. Go ahead, Dwight.
Yes, Gagan, I wanted to ask you the planters this year, will they get planted or are they just because of the conditions there with the downtown and the homeless and the opiate stuff? That was the one question. And I also wondered with the waste containers, that provides an excellent opportunity for us to perhaps put some advertising or put some decals or some something on those containers. And I was wondering if that was possible, or we could check into the cost and see if it was viable for us.
Yeah, great question. So for your first one, as far as I know, they are still planning on doing the planting this year. That was the last update I received from the Parks Department. They were just waiting on us to actually install the physical planters. But I can double check with our staff and send a response through to Annette to distribute when I find out for sure. And I think that's going to be probably when planting season is. So the springtime is usually when they do them typically. And then in terms of the waste containers, I have discussed this, and it brought this to my attention as well. I've discussed it with our communication staff, and they said, you know, we'll have to look into the potential for that. Right now, the plan is that we're going to use the sides, the decal and the inserts for a Clean Brantford campaign that we're running for Earth Day. And following that, we can discuss the advertising potential. We just wouldn't want to give up the space and then have to take it for our campaign and then put it back again. So that's something I can reach out with information on as well.
Go ahead, Dwight. I'm sorry.
And if we were able to do something with those garbage containers, put a nice, deckling or similar to other things, it would keep graffiti away from those disposal garbage bins and the rest of it there. That's what we're, my concern is it's going to be a graffiti spot if we don't do something with those to make them look better. And once they're have a deckling on them or whatever, it seems to do away with the graffiti.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we're discussing with our communication staff. Thank you.
Okay, Lizanna has a question.
I just want to add to, I was going to mention the planters as well, because they could be so beautiful with flowers, you know, for the summer. The other thing is the windows. Could there be artwork or something? The windows are not attractive at all. So is there something we could do, or they can do, to put something there that looks attractive? It would be nice to see that. That's a corner that everybody can see. But the planters really look like it's not good at all. So if that could be enhanced with flowers, it would look really nice.
Sure. Yep, we'll take that back. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisanna. Any other questions of Goggin? All right, Goggin, thank you. And we really appreciate what the city's doing to dress up our downtown and to make it more efficient and for pedestrians, vehicles and bicycles. And I just want to comment on the garbage containers. I happened to see one yesterday because I was walking downtown, and what a great idea. Like they're, you know, they're clean, they're visible, and if they're compacting, that's wonderful. I noticed the little icons on the top, so I guess that tells you how full it is. Yeah.
And they're solar powered, so environmentally.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, thank you so much. We'll move on to Karen from Conestoga.
Good morning, everyone. I just have a few updates. At 274 Colburn Street, Conestoga still continues offering IELTS testing, both virtually and face-to-face, maintaining distance and safety protocols. I had a virtual tour at 274 Colburn of our new PSW labs, where we have been given substantial funds, both by a donor and also by the ministry, to increase the number of PSWs basically throughout Ontario. And we are going to be contributing with almost over 1,000 PSWs provincially to support our long-term care and community. Most of the theoretical components are delivered online, and then we have these labs throughout the province of Ontario, including 274 Colburn Street. We also, I mentioned about the security still is present at 50 Wellington and 274 Colburn Street, and they certainly do monitor the activity on the corner of Clarence and Colburn Street. At this point, we still continue to deliver our programs in Brantford online from the downtown perspective. There still is a great deal of activity happening out in the airport around our trades programs. That is face-to-face, maintaining protocols as well. And I am connecting Ben from the wonderful work that he's doing with our communications department to look at the content for the website that reflects Conestoga and make sure the messaging is clear. At this point, we are exploring options as similar to Laurier on a implementation of returning to the downtown for delivering curriculum in fall. And there are many options being explored at this point in time. No decisions as of yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Any questions of Karen? All right, thank you. Seeing none, we'll move on to Brooke Snyder.
Thank you. So for the Students' Union, we just wrapped up our local advocacy week where we met with local city representatives to discuss advocacy priorities such as community integration, housing, as well as parking. We also just wrapped up our successful open forum event where we had 3 panelists join our discussion, which were Mayor Davis, Councillor Wall, and our SEO, Dr. Northwood. And during that conversation, we expanded on some of the topics which we discussed during local advocacy week and showcased our advocacy efforts to our students. And then just lastly, my contract will end at the end of the month and I will be replaced by the incoming AVP whose name is Shaylin Harris. So I just want to thank everyone for their collaboration and support over the past few years. But I am happy to welcome Shaylin into the role.
Good. Any questions of Brooke? Well, Brooke, we'll miss you too. We're losing Kristen and we're losing you. And thank you very much for your contributions to our meetings. We really appreciate it and wish you good luck. All right, we'll move on to council updates. Councillor Wall.
Awesome, thanks. I had 5 updates. I'll just be quick. So the first one was regarding outdoor patios, which right now obviously seems mute, but it was definitely something that the city council decided to continue to do along with support from the city to ensure that businesses had an ability to be able to operate. And I don't have a specific update of it, but maybe Gagan could touch on it, maybe not, it's okay. But the idea of converting like a parking spot in front of a business into a patio, you know, it's something that, you know, outdoor patios are going to be here to stay, I think, for the foreseeable future. So once we get through whatever the province is deciding to do right now, hopefully we will see more outdoor patios. Short-term rentals. So this is not something we need to have a huge discussion about, but it's something that's happening at City Council. I don't know if we know of any Airbnbs or those types of establishments that are operating in the downtown right now, or whether or not that would be considered a business that would be a member of our BIA if they did decide to open up in the downtown. So I was just thinking that I'd put that out there into the universe for you guys to think about. I don't know how this BIA would treat a short-term rental, whether it would be considered a business. Just putting it out there. Next was the Neighborhood Association Safety Project presentation that was at City Council. So maybe Jamie can talk a little bit about this. The idea is if you remember me talking before when I was talking about like the different levels of security for the downtown, I'm a huge advocate of citizens and members of our community being involved in promoting a safe and secure environment for everybody who lives and loves and works in the downtown. And the neighborhood associations, which are then part of a greater, larger neighborhood association network in town, are putting together a sort of toolkit that's going to be given out to members of the community for how they can be involved. And I think a citizen-led community safety network amplified by a business-led community safety network, and with our security and our bylaw and our constables and our police and citizens on patrol, we can all work together to have a safer neighborhood, because there's lots of people who live and love and work in the downtown. And so that's cool. And meeting with the Laurier Student Union. So yeah, Brooke touched on that. Mayor Davis and I, along with Dr. Northwood, got to have this really, I thought, incredible conversation with some really intelligent students who really love Brantford and care about this community and really want to be a part of making Brantford a great place to live and love and work and learn. And I really think that we are blessed to have Conestoga and Laurier in our community and in our downtown core. And I can't wait to see thousands of students again shopping and eating and going in and creating business ideas and participating. One of the things that I mentioned is one of my favorite times is when Laurier comes back and there's just thousands of students walking in the street, you know, claiming ownership of the downtown. Like, this is our downtown. And that kind of engagement and it was very exciting. And, you know, obviously our downtown's different because of what's going on and whatever. And then finally, if you watched council last night, we're going to be getting a rainbow sidewalk in downtown, thanks to the hard work of Brantford Pride and the Bridge and city staff and members of the 2S LGBTQ+ community. I'll tell you guys something here. There's 2 locations that we're kind of trying to figure out. The first one is where we had originally planned, and that was at the library across Colburn Street. And it was going to be the inclusive flag. It was going to be beautiful. It was right there, like kind of on campus, as well as across one of the oldest roads in the country. And, you know, part of an area that almost everybody in town is going to walk. But after consulting with members of the community, the intention may be to put the crosswalk in front of the new city hall as a 4-way crosswalk across Queen and Dalhousie. And that could be just a magnificent display of support and love and just beautification for our downtown core. And then the most amazing thing happened at council last night when we were talking about it. Members of council were like, well, why do we only got to do one? why couldn't we put one of these in every neighborhood or all over the city? Who doesn't like a rainbow? Who doesn't like to see this kind of beautification stuff happen? And it was a really cool moment to be a part of. And, you know, who knows, maybe it just won't be in the downtown, or maybe there'll be one or two in the downtown or whatever. And that's about it. I mean, there was a whole bunch more. I mean, Gagan kind of talked about the downtown revitalization, so I won't steal her thunder because she did a great job. And yeah, things are good. I mean, it's a trying time right now for our downtown. So, I mean, I'm always available if you guys want to talk. Mayor Davis, I think he sent his regrets. He couldn't be here this morning, but he's also, you know, passionate about getting through this on the other side. That's my update. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wall. That's great. And, you know, we're pretty excited about those rainbow sidewalks or rainbow crossings ourselves. So we look forward to seeing them installed wherever you decide to put them. Any questions of Councillor Wall? All right, seeing, oh, go ahead, May.
And this is just concerning the outdoor patios, because we've had questions from businesses. Is there a policy in place for businesses? So they put in the funds to set up their outdoor patio, which will, right after this month, there'll come a time where it's set up again. What's the policy once they get it set up, once COVID is done? Do they have to take it all down, or should I just direct these people to licensing? But there is a real concern. They're putting up their patio in a parking lot or whatever, and they'll use it. And are they required to just take it down after the fact? Because they will have put quite a bit of money into it.
That is great. Can I address that, Barbara?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, so May, yes, thank you for bringing that up. So Sean House at the city is the gentleman that I've been sending everybody who's been inquiring about patios. So I personally, as Councillor Wall and an advocate for small business here in the community, will be pushing for this to be some sort of permanent thing. I don't know exactly what that looks like yet. I'm in the midst of negotiations with staff. As far as I'm aware, no, it is not intended to be a permanent thing. And I don't necessarily agree or disagree with that. I know that there's a lot of red tape and a lot of stuff about it, but I mean, I can't imagine being a business owner and spending 30, 40K to adapt to this new world that we live in, and then being told after it's all done, well, where's my refund? Lumber is super expensive right now. Not only that, but the time and the effort and the, you know, why would you do it if it's only a temporary fix? So it's here to stay for now. And before it, I guess if you know anybody who wants to speak out about this, when it comes time for me to present something, or my colleagues to present something to council saying, look, we want to make this a permanent thing, we're going to need letters of support. We're going to need to rally and say, we want this as a permanent thing. I feel like we've got a great group here who could maybe be a part of that voice. Because if you've seen some of the outdoor patios these businesses have created, they are beautiful additions. Why couldn't they be a permanent addition for their business, should the business owner want it? But it is not as easy as just, well, maybe it could be. I'm willing to try, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, Councillor Wall? Go ahead, Dwight.
Just going to comment on this parking issue there. It's going to enhance one business, mainly in restaurants. That's who's going to put these patios in and take up a parking spot. But it's also going to cause problems for the business beside that restaurant who needs people to get into their store and stop and things going on. So there's a lot of things to be looked at. A permanent basis on this, I'm not so sure it's such a great idea as far as that's concerned. You know, during the COVID here, getting by with some stuff, maybe we can compromise on some stuff, but we're going to have to be very careful on getting involved in a full-time patio taking up a parking space, because they're very short in the downtown, especially going forward when revenue is going to be needed out of those parking spaces. And is the person that's putting that parking patio in going to pay anything to the city back on anything as far as that's concerned on city lands? So a lot of questions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dwight. All right. Any further comments? No? All right, so we'll move on to city staff updates. That's probably you, Steve.
So from my end, I have an update, I guess, regarding the security project. And staff are, sorry, one moment. Thank you. Yes, staff are supporting the extension of the pilot project, and that will go to council at the end of the month. And as you may already be aware, we've formed a community physical security advisory group that includes several of our community partners and stakeholders. And that's intended to support staff with advice on effective measures to help provide advice on effective measures to help improve safety and security in the community. Right now, we were supposed to go to the committee of the whole with proposing this extension. They didn't get around to tabling the presentation last night. So that will end up going to council at the end of the month. Other than that, I can answer any questions that you might have about the security program. I did have some businesses reach out to the security team earlier this week to voice some of their security concerns, and we've had the team dispatched to help support them address some of the issues they've been encountering on their property. There were issues such as encampments and folks sleeping at the front entrance of their business. And we had the team over there and disperse that group of people. That we are noticing accumulation of garbage and other hazardous materials. So we've dispersed that group and make sure that that property is added to our team's patrol route before staff come into that building in the morning, so that that area is clear before staff enter the building and they can enter and exit safely. And similarly, we've had reports from the Scotiabank and St. Leonard's along that corridor where there have been folks setting up encampments as well. The team has been working closely with the city's bylaw services to disperse those folks and make sure that people can safely access those corridors as well. We've had a few encampments pop up over the last week or two, and we've been working closely with community supports and the bylaw services team to disperse those encampments and eradicate some of these hazards that we're seeing along different areas of the downtown and surrounding areas. Any questions for me, Joshua?
Go ahead, Councilor.
Thanks. I just was wondering if you could just quickly touch upon some of the interactions, positive interactions that your staff have had with just members on the street or local business owners.
Sure. Well, to summarize, our team commonly deals with incidents involving trespassing, various prohibited activities. They respond to alarms and insecure doors, vandalism, and the team conducts well-being checks. They've conducted hundreds of these well-being checks over the first 4 months, and these have proven to be particularly critical, especially when every second counts. The team is encountering multiple overdose-related incidents every week. So this service has been vital to ensure the well-being of people in the community. We've had a lot of positive feedback that has been received from the community. A lot of it is included in the report. We've included an appendix that outlines all of the feedback we've received to date. A lot of it, a lot of the feedback indicates that staff, community members, and Staff community members are reporting feeling safer in the downtown and surrounding areas. We're noticing less vandalism and property damage, and also safety hazards that are being discovered on various properties. And we've also heard from members in the community that it would be a considerable loss if the program were to be discontinued. They've taken note of the enhanced security presence that has been implemented with this pilot project, and they're hoping that it will continue to be supported. They do. Right now, the team is part of. You kind of alluded to this, Councillor Wall, but they're part of multiple layers of physical security in the community that will really only help successfully address all of these challenges, complex challenges with complex root causes. It requires really a collaborative effort across the board in the community, and that's where we see the value for this team. It supports that stratified approach to community safety that integrates these layers of services that are provided by police, bylaw, special constables, and other private security. So that's driven our efforts to make sure that we're collaborating closely with our partners. And that's driven the formation of these advisory groups where we can work closely together to address these safety and security concerns. While the enforcement authority of the team is legally restricted to city properties, they are an extra layer of deterrence, and they extend that to non-city properties. They collaborate closely with bylaw, Brantford Police Service, Wilfrid Laurier Special Constables, and other private security from our community partners like Conestoga College to improve community safety. We're noticing decreased calls to police. So we've seen approximately 31%, an average of 31% decrease in calls to police to resolve minor incidents. So the security team has been consistently able to resolve minor incidents without the use of force and generally without requiring the assistance of the Brantford Police Service. We're noticing decreased property damage, and again, staff and tenants are reporting feeling safer.
Oh, thank you very much.
Any other questions of Steve? Yes, go ahead, Kathy.
Thank you. Through the chair. Steve, you spoke a little bit about encampments. And so is the focus then, as soon as someone notices an encampment, and again, this would basically be on anywhere on city property, right? Along the river. Is the intent then, or your focus to get it dispersed before they get totally, get their feet in the ground and so that it doesn't become a huge long-term encampment site? Is that what the focus is for your group?
Definitely. That's been where we've been able to be most successful, to detect these as early as possible. We've seen situations where encampments, pretty sophisticated encampments, have been set up that appears to have happened over quite some time. There's been a lot of structure that's gone into it. We've seen some pretty sophisticated encampment structures. So we're trying to prevent those from being set up. So the 24-hour patrol rotation really helps with that. And also we're relying on members of the community to also bring this to our attention whenever these encampments are observed. So the team is patrolling the downtown and surrounding areas, doing our best to have these encampments come up on our radar and immediately try to connect. We first try to connect people with community supports, and we work with service providers to accomplish that. And that's our first approach when we encounter encampments. And we also want to make sure that they're dismantled so that there aren't any safety hazards posed to members of the community.
Great, thank you.
Go ahead, Brooke.
You mentioned a community advisory committee. Is there a link that I could get more information to this?
Yeah,
Committee?
I can actually connect with you directly following the meeting and can share with you some information about that. Right now, the community advisory group is made up of representatives from the Downtown Business Association, the Chamber of Commerce for Brantford Brent, Downtown Central Neighborhood Association, Wilfrid Laurier Special Constable Service, Conestoga College Security, St. Leonard's Community Services, the Brantford Brent Community Drug Strategy Harm Reduction Working Group, Rosewood House and City Council. And we'd also like to get the seniors, the seniors group, and also Indigenous support group as well involved, and any other community partners that would like to be involved in the process. I think the more stakeholders we have involved in addressing these challenges, the more successful we will be. So I'd be happy to connect with you afterwards to share with you some more information, including our next meeting.
Susanna had a question?
Yes, I'm just wondering, we've installed cameras at all our doors, not in the daytime, but at night, as soon as we close. That's when we're open. I'm just wondering, sometimes they still camp there and they just wave at the camera. So I don't know if that's helping or not, but they also just moved to another location. Is there something that can be done to try and prevent the whole homeless thing? Is there something more that can be done by the city so that we don't just move them around?
So this particular challenge is one that we've noticed from the very beginning, and we're trying to work with other stakeholders to address this, because yes, the team is able to deter these incidents and intervene when they do encounter these incidents, but as you mentioned, they're just moving along to another place that they perceive to be a more safer space for them to carry on with their lives or activities undisrupted. So our approach here has really been able to maintain a consistent security presence as much as possible, and to track where people are moving to. We don't want people to be simply moved from city properties to non-city properties. So for that reason, we have been extending the service to make sure that if they do move to a non-city property, our guards will go over there, introduce themselves, make their presence known. If they observe people sleeping on non-city properties, they'll go over and conduct a well-being check to make sure that those folks are not in need of emergency medical services or other community supports. And then finally, they will try to disperse that group of people if they're observed engaging in prohibited activities on those properties, whether that's sleeping on that property or vandalism or whatnot. They will also try to have the people leave or stop whatever they're doing. And if they receive any non-compliance with that direction, that's when our legal authority becomes a bit restricted. If they're non-compliant with with security, at that point, our next course of action to escalate it would be to involve bylaw services or the police. And at that point, they are able to support the security team with enforcement capabilities on non-city properties. So that's been our approach when it comes to addressing, I guess, the displacement of these incidents and people that we're encountering. And it, as mentioned by Sergeant Grantham, it's a significant challenge, which is somewhat beyond the scope of what security alone can accomplish, which is why we're trying to collaborate with as many stakeholders and partners as we can to address this. That's how we are able to address incidents on non-city properties. It's through collaboration with the police service and bylaw if we are getting non-compliance. If they are complying with our guards, great. We've been able to address the issue on non-city property, but it's at that point where folks become non-compliant with our security guards that we need to involve other enforcement bodies in moving people along or stopping the prohibited activity. So my answer to that question is there isn't an easy answer to the displacement issue. We are trying to maintain that level of security presence so that, and across city and non-city properties, so that folks don't perceive your property or other private businesses as a safe space for them to sleep or engage in substance use or whatnot. It's really about taking away those opportunities and spaces where they're away from the public eye and perceive that they won't be, they won't have interactions with security. So we're trying to maintain that presence to make it, to prevent those activities across city and non-city properties. And the only way that we're able to successfully and consistently do that is to work with you and to work with bylaw services and police services. And it's really about maintaining that consistent presence that will prevent folks from loitering on other properties or engaging in prohibited activities. And once we do have that consistent presence across all of the areas and we are working efficiently together as a team, if you notice an encampment on your property, you're calling us, we're responding right away in a timely manner. We're involving the police service and bylaw services if we don't get compliance. I think we need to maintain that level of presence, which will help address this issue and make these areas that we're encountering these problems a less opportunistic for these types of activities.
Thank you.
Annette has a question.
You mentioned I'm watching an encampment being broken up right now across the road by the police department. My question is, are you the first point of contact? So instead of calling the police with what's going on across the road, are we able to call you? And does it have to be the property owner? I see, as well as other business owners in the downtown, something happening on a neighbor's property or something around the corner. Does it have to be the property owner calling, and are you the first point of contact?
So for these types of situations, we are the first point of contact. So from the feedback I've been receiving from community members, they've been able to more consistently rely on a timely response by the security team to address these types of incidents rather than the police service, just because most of the time they do have other higher priority incidents to respond to. So our team is available 24/7. We do respond to these incidents on city and surrounding properties. So, and we do involve the police if we encounter non-compliance. So I think that would be the best process to escalate these concerns. First, contact the city security team, and you don't have to be the property owner. These calls for assistance and service can come from members of the community, and they often do. We often have members of the community reach out to the team to report security concerns that they observe on specific properties. So that can come from the property owner or community members. When it comes to enforcement, we usually have better leverage when we're in touch with the property owner. And that's at the point when it does get escalated to involve the police service. Usually they want some form of authorization from the business owner or confirmation that whoever they're dealing with is not permitted to be on property, etc. But that can be reported from any member of the community, and our security team doesn't need that to come from the business owner. we're addressing safety concerns for all members in the community. And if those concerns are encountered, the team will certainly respond to that and escalate it as required to get assistance from police or bylaw services.
So what's your phone number? Go ahead, Annette.
Can you share that phone number with us?
Yes, that was my
Of course.
question.
And me too.
It is. I can share it now, or I can.
No, please now.
It is 519. Sorry. 761 9647.
And we can call this number 24/7.
Yes, so the team is available 24/7.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, any other questions of Steve? Seeing none, thank you, Steve. You are a busy man with a busy department, and we appreciate you being there. I can't say enough about that.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate the partnership with the business association as well. It really helps us get a grasp of and help address a lot of these challenges we're experiencing in the community. It's important to have the input of the business community. And as I mentioned, the more that we can work together to address these issues, the more successful we'll be. So I really appreciate it. And you can also reach out to me directly if you have any non-immediate concerns about security or comments or feedback. I'd be happy to discuss that further.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. All right, now there's one item not on the agenda, and Jamie Wilson Belor has joined us from the Neighborhood Association. Jamie, do you have any comments today?
Yeah, so first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me. I know I haven't been able to make this meeting in quite some time, so I do apologize for that, and I hope to be more of a regular presence again going forward. So really quickly, I am with the Neighborhood Association. I just kind of want to do a brief recap over the last year and just some things that we've been doing for the downtown community, and that also has been in support of businesses as well. So as Councillor Wall mentioned, we are a part of the NAB Safety Subcommittee. That's something that we feel very strongly for, and we've been advocating for quite some time around safety concerns downtown, as you guys are all echoing here as well. So we are really excited for that. We are in the very early stages. We are currently just working through getting kind of that delegation to go to council to follow up with that first report. And then we are working, as Councillor Wall said, to develop that toolkit that will be rolled out citywide. And every neighborhood association is going to be able to adapt that model to best impact the community members in their neighborhood. So for us, ours is greatly a lot to do with businesses as well as families and students. We have a very unique demographic downtown. So we are continuing to advocate for our toolkit to be adapted in that model. The toolkit will be both a virtual along with a physical toolkit. We know downtown we have that need for both for accessibility issues. Something else we are, and I've been personally heavily advocating for, is a way to develop a contact card. And I've had great lengths of talk with Steve, as well as I know there is a who to contact card that the city rolled out as well. That's a kind of a flyer form that has important numbers and information on it of who to call and when during those times of need. And they really vary with what's offered on those cards, from, water, waste issues, all the way down to, the Brantford police phone number and the security team number. But we as association are feeling we need more of that concrete pocket card, size card, rather than a large flyer. So I am still and will continue to advocate for something that we can kind of hand out that gets that information to the public that they can keep on them, whether it's in their backpack, in their car, of, when you see something out and there's a safety concern, who do I call right now? And that way the best kind of organizations are being utilized. We've also been a part of the Neighbors Helping Neighbors campaign through the city of Brantford at the beginning of COVID. For those that don't know what that is, it's an initiative taken on by neighborhood associations to try and connect community members to resources when COVID hit. So for us, that was helping with the mask distribution. We were able to hand out over, I think, 250 masks that were purchased through the city to community members in need. We also were able to help out with a community meal. So I'm sure a lot of you know, in the beginning of COVID, city staff were kind of redeployed. And one of the things that they were doing was helping out with meals in the community when everything else shut down. So we stepped up and we donated a meal through partnering with Lonnie's, and about 80 meals were, just over 80 meals were donated that night. We also were going to be donating, purchasing and then donating a $2 Tim card to every single person that showed up that evening. But when Carrie got word that we were going to be doing that, she actually donated those on our behalf. So we didn't have to use funding for that. So thank you, Carrie. I'm glad that I can see you kind of in person to do that. The other thing that we did is we found a need for people that like just needed groceries, right? Senior citizen can't get out beginning of this pandemic. So we were able to kind of do outreach that way. We had also people wanting to help. The flood of citizens stepping up to help was something I've never seen personally. And we've always been blessed with a lot of volunteers. So for us to feel that way, we felt, it was just wonderful how everyone came together. So we had members in need of, supplies for their children. Through the Neighbor Helping Neighbor campaign, somebody put a post out saying, I need child's Tylenol. I'm home by myself. My husband's at work. I can't get out. I need Tylenol. And within like an hour, somebody was purchasing Tylenol and dropping it off to this family. So things like that really came out of this and touched me in a lot of ways. And I'm glad that we were able to be a part of that. Also, very quickly in the pandemic, we realized the impact on businesses and the businesses downtown, and we wanted to try and help. So we kind of quickly pulled together a 10 days of giveaways to support local businesses that were closed during the beginning of this pandemic. So we drove around and we picked 10 businesses that we felt were going to be heavily impacted. We wish we could have done more. But what we did is we did an online campaign where every day for 10 days, we made a post. We advertised that business. We advertised what they offered. And we did just a fun kind of like what they offered, what's your favorite thing. So the businesses we picked was Bathtub Bakery, Lonnie's, Sacred Lotus Yoga, The Works, Alt Boutique, Coffee Culture, Tahoon Hair Salon, Burrito Brothers, the Beauty Lounge, and then the BIA also stepped up and donated on their own. Actually, I got contacted from Annette and they were able to give us 2 merchant gift cards. The rest we purchased out of our neighborhood association. And that was probably the best campaign online we've had to date. We had like up to a few hundred people that participated within that. And the winners were extremely grateful. Then moving forward, we kind of had a little lull over the summer, just really trying to wrap our head around what we could do within the restrictions. And then we also had a little lull in our funding. So we are a hub neighborhood association that receives funding from the city. But when pandemic hit, some of the budgets were kind of mitigated around to help out with that. So coming up to Christmas, we knew we wanted to do something big. So we did offer 2 things. We did a 12 days of Christmas giveaways through Nominate a Neighbor. It's something that we've been wanting to do the whole year. We were seeing all these stories coming out of people helping people, but we wanted to kind of recognize those people that were stepping up, the ones that really didn't want the recognition. So we basically didn't tell anyone what we were giving away. We just put out a post. We're doing a giveaway. There'll be something dropped off to people that are nominated. Send us a message of these stories. And what happened is we started to realize that there was all these little pockets in the downtown of people, business owners stepping up in ways that like nobody knew. I learned of this like little street off of Nelson that about 8 different people were all helping each other out, whether it was clearing driveways or whether it was, they went and picked up groceries or they were helping out a senior citizen or somebody that, you know, had just lost their job and were facing homelessness, but were taking half of the money they had every month and giving it back to people that were also homeless. So it was a great way to see other community members noticing this and getting to send in this story. And then the person had no idea they were nominated. The executive would pick from stories without any names attached, just a story. And every day for those 12 days, we picked a story, and that person was delivered $200 of gift cards, 100 from Walmart and 100 from Freshco, just to kind of brighten their day and say thank you for being a community member and giving back. Greatly received. There was so many people that messaged and said, you know, you just made my Christmas. I just was able to buy, you know, groceries for the week, or I was just able to buy toys for my children for Christmas. And they had spent all this time giving back. So that was really awesome. And then we also started to know that there was going to be people on Christmas Day that were going to be alone. With the lockdown and with people losing jobs and everything else, some of them might not have had a Christmas dinner. So we purchased dinners for these folks. So they got to sign up, and I don't know if you guys saw, but it was Gillies. They were running a delivery on Christmas Day of meals. So we purchased, we got approval to purchase up to 40 meals, 40, to be delivered to the community. We were able to impact 20 families, and they got a fresh Christmas dinner delivered to them between 5 and 7 o'clock Christmas Day night with all the trimmings and dessert. Again, something that, you know, families were having to decide between gifts in the morning or a meal at night. And a lot of them were choosing the gifts from Santa, and then they were going without a meal. So we are really happy to be able to do that. And I'm almost done, I promise. We just did some really cool stuff I wanted to tell you about. So then come Easter, we knew that, again, we were heading out of a lockdown, probably into a lockdown. So we usually do a fun fair where we have 500 families up to kind of come to Central Public School, and we do these fun fairs. That's not going to happen in this day and age right now anyways. So we decided to have our Easter Bunny costume go out into the downtown community, and families could sign up, and we purchased gift baskets that had age appropriate items in them for each child. We were able to impact 14 families, and 37 children received Easter baskets. Again, echoing the stories we've heard all along, you know, my kid wasn't going to receive Easter this year. So being able to do that for so many children was fantastic. So 2 things we have working on is we did apply for the participation grant that was available to communities to create the most active Brantford. So whatever city ended up being the most active in the month of June was going to receive a bonus to that city of $100,000. There are many neighborhood associations and city programs that have applied for this. We are one of them. We should be hearing next week if we received our funding. We applied for $1,000 in partnership with Woodview. And with that money, we're going to be putting on 3 events. So a Pilates in the park. We're going to be putting on a moving and grooving in the square, which will be offering free Zumba in the square. And then we're also going to be running a virtual one day every day for the month of June, a way to get active. If this grant is approved, we will be giving away gift cards to the winners, again, helping to impact our businesses. So we'll be looking at doing that and purchasing those. And then we're also looking to do, pending the lockdown is over, on May 7th, a community cleanup in form of our Jane's Walk this year. A bunch of residents want to get out and clean up the downtown area. We will be offering prizes as well for that. Most likely, again, gift cards to benefit our businesses. So I know that was a lot, but I haven't been here, and I just think there's just been so amazing stories that have come out of it. And sometimes in this time, we don't get to hear them. So I wanted to kind of say that. Thank you guys again for letting me be here. If you have any questions, let me know.
Wow, Jamie. Wow. What a,
I know it's been a year, I'm sorry.
No, you know what, like, well, first of all, I'm going to say something in a minute, but what I do have to announce is that we've lost quorum. And so our meeting has officially ended. The official part of our meeting has ended. So anyone who wants to stay on, please do for a moment, because I want to say, Jamie, for one, I was not aware of what your group was doing. And it's an amazing and a silent, powerful group, and taking care of parts of the community that, you know, we always wondered what happened to them. And there you are, you're filling that void. And I am blown away. I am so impressed. And I'm sure I'm echoing I'm seeing all the heads nodding, and it's like, what an amazing job you're doing. And you know, we all thank you for taking care of those little needs that you know, some of us fortunately we don't have, and but for taking care of those who have not. And okay, I'm speechless. I'm blown away by what you're doing. So thank you so much for doing what you do in our community. Thank you. All right, so as mentioned, go ahead, Annette.
Joshua's popped back in, so
Oh, Joshua's
we
back.
have
Okay.
quorum.
Okay, sorry. So all right, I don't know what to do with this because we didn't have quorum and Joshua's back. So welcome back, Joshua.
I really need to go though, too.
And you know what? We've been 2 hours at this. What
Yeah.
an awesome meeting we've had. And thank you everybody for your contribution. I think at this point we'll just go ahead, Carrie.
Sorry, I just had a couple things. I know Joshua mentioned the short-term rentals. I was at the planning committee meeting the beginning of March to deal with this. So what they're wanting to do is define, permit, and regulate the short-term rentals, limit them to principal residents, not be in the same building as a B&B, and require registration. So I know this is going to affect the downtown on both ends, both landlords and the downtown as a whole. So I think maybe some information should be sent out to our merchants to let them know that this is coming forward to council. I'm not sure that the dates on everything, so maybe Annette can check with the clerk and see when it is coming to council, just so that anyone that wants a say in it that has short-term rentals can put their word in for it. And that's all.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. That's good. And Karen, go ahead.
Sorry, just to clarify, short-term rentals would mean student housing as well?
No, that's like Airbnb and things like that.
Thank you.
Also,
Sorry, that's not correct though. It's all short-term rentals. There's no regulation right now for any short-term rentals. So that could include student rentals.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, you're right, Josh.
Sorry, I mean, it's still all up in the air right now.
I think it's short-term would be less than 28 days. They define short-term rental as. So yes, you're right, Joshua. It could include students as well. One other thing I just want to ask, I know that Cheryl Antosky is putting in a lot of effort into setting up butterfly gardens around the city. And I haven't heard that one is downtown. I was wondering if maybe we could work with Parks and Rec to get one in Harmony Square or Victoria Park. Maybe get a team together to sow the garden and put it together. We could, just an idea, maybe we can do that.
Good idea. Go ahead, Jamie.
Sorry, I just wanted to echo that too. So we've also seen about the butterfly gardens. We did have a community garden about 3 years ago, but that at Central Public School, and it's been out since with the construction happening on site. We're also hoping to have that up and running, but the closest butterfly garden to us right now is Earl Haig, and the neighborhood association is looking at doing something like that. We're just kind of waiting on the space at this time. That is our biggest struggle, but I think Harmony Square is a wonderful option.
Okay, well done. I know she's putting a lot of effort into that, and they just received a $3,000 grant from the Green Belt, and so that'll help their work as well. Okay, any other comments for the good of the downtown? Go ahead, Carrie.
Me again, sorry.
It's okay.
Steve had mentioned, I just want to thank Steve, first of all, for reaching out to us and sitting down with us at a meeting there about a month and a half ago. It was Barbara and Annette and Lizanne and I sat down with them for probably a couple hours. And I think we really came to a better understanding of each side of the issue. So I want to really thank Steve for that and his ongoing promise to meet going forward. Oh shoot, I just lost my train of thought here. Oh, sorry, I just lost it.
That's okay. It happens to all of us, Carrie. All right. Thank you. All right. If nothing else, and then thank you everyone for staying with us. It's been 2.25 hours, but great meeting. Annette, did you have something to say?
Just that we get a mover and a seconder to adjourn.
To adjourn the meeting, yeah. Okay, Dwight, seconded by Kathy. All in favor? All right, thank you, everyone. Have a good week.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Kristen.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Okay, Barbara, let me go.
Oh, I have to let you go, don't I? That's right. How do I let you go?
Thank you.
I'm trying, Dwight. I'm trying, Dwight.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, oh, he's gone. Oops. Okay, and Ben's still with us? And he's,
Yes, I am.
hey. Oh,